Ladies and gentlemen, and all of you assorted folks out there, it is 6 o'clock and time to begin. So can we do the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. March 24th minutes, which wasn't much on instructions, but that was kind of a know-nothing, for it has been for 4 months, so they have a motion to just...
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second. Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I guess we're ready for you, Brian. This Arcadia NP,
National Park.
National Park, okay.
So yeah, what I'm hoping for again is instruction committee approval for us to be able to do a field course, a ecology field course in Acadia National Park. This will be the second year. You guys approved it last year. You'll see a couple pictures from the group that went last year, and we had and you should also have the syllabus and some of the things that we're doing as well. Just a little bit of background. I've been doing field ecology courses for, sorry, that should be like to your camera. I've been doing field ecology courses, gosh, I started in my 20s and 30s. It was before I had this beard, before my first kidney stone.
What are you hiding in the
That's a good question. That's a good question. Age, mostly. And done courses for UNE, 2 schools in Massachusetts, 2 schools over in Maine. And really last year was the first year where I'm like, you know what, the culture and the kind of the students we have at BCA, I really want to try this. And it was a pretty amazing trip. And Acadia National Park, if you've never been before, it's a little less than 4 hours away. It is one of the 5 smallest national parks in the country, and it's one of the 5 most visited, and really for a reason. This picture was getting the students to get over to a sunrise over near Seawall Campground. I think, Allison, I'll just say ding, and then you'll turn the page. Perfect. And I won't go through everything. But the plan is for, oh, ding. The plan is a 4-day trip, 3 nights up at Acadia National Park. This picture is over at Jordan Pond. That's the bubbles, ding.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. We'll camp at Seawall Campground. I'll show you a quick picture of that. The camping last year went really well with the students. For many of these students, they haven't been out of the state. I had 3 students last year that hadn't seen the ocean. I know, right? Like that's, and we're not that far away. Students that were bringing me $1 bills that they had collected and stuff just to kind of raise up to the money. And what was Mackenzie, the grants manager, Harrington, the code, she helped out a lot with being able to take a trip that was probably about a $600 trip and be it less than $200. I think this year, the way I have it budgeted, about $120 a student is what it will cost. But we'll be doing the intertidal ecology and some of the beginning forest ecology and bog ecology the first day because we're down at Seawall Campground, which is closer to Bass Harbor. We'll go to the park headquarters. One of the, Dylan Dow, who's the social studies teacher, was also a park ranger and actually worked up at Acadia for a couple of years, which is kind of nice. And he still knows some of the characters there. So it's a chance for the students to meet and kind of find out what some of the different jobs are in the park and how people got into that realm of things. The 3rd day is when we'll hike Cadillac Mountain, and then we come back after a field test on the 4th day. It's over Memorial Day weekend, so we'll be missing 1 day of school. We'll miss the Friday, and we'll be back on Memorial Day on the Monday. Ding. Words are boring. More pictures. Oh, this is for parents, not for... But we've already done these in the parent meetings, the med forms, packing lists, things like that. Oh, ding. That's more for parents too, and I just explained it. Ding. That's the drive. That was more for parents and students. I did have a student last year walk out when they saw it was a 4-hour drive. Just so I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to do 4 hours in a van or a car with other people. Ding. So this is where we're camping down at Seawall Campground, and that's just the students looking lost that I found. Ding. So again, some of this was more for the parents. But that's the sort of camping situation that we have. The Seawall Campground's a little less in the woods, and we got really lucky with weather last year. Well, not lucky, it can be really nice during Memorial Day weekend there. But we got,
You
it
promise
was
that?
especially nice. I can't promise.
Oh, okay.
But if anyone wants to come, the more people come, I think it's better luck. So I would take anyone. We got room for more students than we have. Go ahead, Dang. Some of it's hiking. I try to get the students to know that and be in shape when we start walking the track. But I always am amazed that there's a lot of, and I had a student last year who really had a 504 for morbid obesity, and we were able to, even for her, to do a ton of the different things that we did, and she really pushed herself. It was pretty awesome. There's the tide pooling that we do on the first day, Ding. Those are some of the things we find. It's always cool to see a neuter branch. That's all the way on the right. Ding. And some salt marsh ecology. We do a couple of days ahead of the trip where we're doing field ecology stuff, and there's a book that they have to read, and then we do a couple of days after. The idea last year, and just the timing was strange. I would love if you guys wanted for the students to come and present what they did and what they learned and kind of organize it by the different ecosystems and pieces. Because it's the end of May, it'd be something we'd probably do in the fall, which seems like it's better anyway, than you guys aren't dealing with budgets and policy and whatever other stuff you have to do. Dang. Day 2, we're over at the park. We meet a couple of the researchers as well as the rangers over there. That is the lighthouse over at Bass Lights, Dang, Bass Harbor. Oh, I had that beard last year too. The one hike that's really cool, and again, someone just told me to stop talking because you have a lot to do, is going up the Beehive. If you haven't been up the Beehive before, right across from there, that's one of those things where you're hiking almost 1,000 feet in less than a mile because you're going up ladders, you're going up, but there's also another way around. So that's the students using some of the hand ladders on the way up, and pretty quickly, Ding. It's a pretty amazing view for what's a bit of work, but the payoff's amazing. And that's really what happens all over the park, right? Whether you're going up Cadillac, Ding. I like this Ding thing. That's the other hike. That's the other trail. That's what the trail's like if you don't go up the Beehive, which, like I said, all the students were able to do one. And it's the way you come down. And those are just some bluets because I needed something on the other side. But the students do, I mean, that's my background's really ecology, environmental ed, and that's a big part of what we do field course wise. They do a journal every night and the species list, and then try to really tie it together to the ecology as well as the environmental issues that are up there. Dang. Yeah, I didn't take that picture, but I wish I did. But it is pretty amazing. I think for a lot of the students, they don't realize how many stars are up there. They haven't been anywhere where there's not a ton of light pollution. And it's pretty remarkable when you're somewhere that just does not have that
Second
light
best place
pollution.
in the world to see the stars. legit.
Second best place in the world?
Second best place in the world.
Where's the best?
I don't know, I haven't been there yet.
Gotta be somewhere like in Arizona.
Something like that, yeah, with low light pollution.
Interesting. Or maybe it's like Antarctica. Dang. And then this third day, we hike Cadillac Mountain. Dang. I'll keep danging. They'll have a choice of trails. Every year, I offer to go do sunrise Cadillac Mountain, which means leaving at about 4 in the morning, and the students never wake up for it. And as I'm getting older, I'm kind of hoping they don't wake up for it. But I will 100% do it. If a couple of them wake up for it, I will 100% do it. You can ding again, that's no problem. And then we go into Bar Harbor on the last night too. One of the things too is we go over to the Abe Museum, which is a museum that has a lot of cultural history of the area, both as with the Wabanaki that were there, but also some of the kind of fishing and early American culture, early white American culture in that area at least. Ding. We gotta be close to the end. Yep, field test, ranger station, and then we head home. The last picture should just be some loons. Let's find out. Yes. Any questions?
You didn't lose anybody in the ocean.
We didn't lose anyone in the ocean. Well, they always ask, hey, can we go swim? We go swimming. Go ahead and stick your foot in.
Yeah,
It's
I see
May.
how cold it
It's May in northern Maine. I mean, even in August in northern Maine, you gotta be out of your mind. It's only for like little kids. I don't know what's wrong with little kids. They can always go in
Yeah,
like
they
50-degree
don't- yeah.
water.
Anybody else have questions here?
How many kids go?
So last year we had 11, last year we had 11, this year right now it looks like 9,
And how many adults?
3.
Nick?
I don't have a question about this so much. This is awesome. I'm excited to hear that you're offering this to the kids and the story of kids that haven't seen the ocean. You know, there are kids that are going to benefit from this. Can you give me like the elevator speech of the mission and the purpose of BCA? I think it's changed since when I was a student
Yeah,
back
sure.
in the 90s,
Well-
if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem at all. And I think BCA has changed based on what this community's needed since, 08 would be, so Bud Carlson Academy, back when it was the Rochester Alternative Program, is the oldest alternative program in the state of New Hampshire. It dates all the way back to 1971, when it was mostly a ropes course, a house, and like a place for, but those students still belonged to Spalding High School. And they would go there and then came back, and that's probably, so in the 90s, that's what you'd be thinking of there. In 2008, 2009, the state changed state law, and you gotta go to school till you're 18. And Bud Carlson Academy then was an alternative program down here. That was kids that were sent over to the high school for a part of their day to make up credits to do work, and really became its own high school. Went through the whole process of becoming its own high school. Really, probably the mission then was to get that low-hanging fruit of the 16, 17-year-olds that you had to go knock on the house and say, oh, hey, remember when you dropped out of high school? Well, you didn't. How many credits do you need? So I think the first few years, and back then graduation classes were 30 or 40, because you'd have some students who only needed 2 credits, and then would just come in and get their credits. I think there was probably a period of time, probably just when I started about 10, 11 years ago, that it was a little more of a behavioral program. Like the discipline committee used to send kids to Bud Carlson Academy, which had its own challenges. And really in the last, I would say, 6 years, since we started working with the National Dropout Center and really recognizing what the community needed and becoming a trauma-skilled school, it really became a school that I would say 3/4 of the students there are trauma-impacted, high-anxiety students. Now, some of them are introverts and have just missed a ton of school over at the high school, and the high school is too big for them. Some of them are extroverts. You might think of them as behavior-type issues. But really, these last 5, 6 years, that's really been the main focus, is really trying to have the culture of a trauma-skilled environment to be able to get both those groups together. It's a 20-credit diploma. We're our own high school. Most students, once they come to us, that we keep them every once in a while, probably once every 2-3 years. A student will get 20 credits with us and then go back to the high school and do 6 credits. That happens too sometimes. This is a long elevator. Does that help?
Yeah,
All right. No problem.
Anyone else? has a-
Yeah, just, how many days was this, 3 days?
4 days, 3
4
nights.
days.
Yep. And that seemed to be just right. That
I
was,
can imagine.
well, and because my first pitch was the Everglades, just because that's a trip I've done a lot. But I think for this group, this seems to be the right, a 24-hour drive and 10 days down in southern Florida some of them would definitely do it, and then for some, I think it'd be, but the fundraising for that really too, like the ability to have this be affordable is a huge deal, huge deal.
Next.
Yes,
Matt,
if
go
I may.
ahead.
Do you have a lot of kids that don't go because they can't afford it?
I really try and tell them, do not, because I can find money places, right? As long as they can get some skin in the game, right? So even if it's, hey, give me $10 a week for the next 6 weeks, and I can find the other 60 somewhere. So I really try to make sure that that's not the case, although this is being recorded, now everyone's gonna say that. But I try really hard not to. I think for most of them who haven't done, like the 9 or more that go on this trip, plus the 11, a lot of them, some of them graduated, but some of them are there. Like I think if this does become something that BCA does every year, we'll start fundraising earlier, you know what I mean, and get some of those kids, and it's a part of, kind of just a part of who BCA is. It'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
so I can
I
go.
guess that's it.
Are you gonna
They
vote?
let you off easy, Brian.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Okay,
So,
We need a
are we looking
motion?
for a motion to approve? I'd make a motion to approve the trip to Acadia National Park for 5 cars.
Have a second? Oh, I'm sorry, didn't hear you. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? No? All right, thank you. Great.
Have a nice trip.
Thank you. We will.
He's getting paid too much money, Matt. I met him in Potter's house this morning. He can afford one of those expensive donuts. They're delicious.
That might be true.
Right. 5-year plan, anyone have any thoughts about that?
Well, it might make some sense to look at what our priority items are and see what our next steps are to get to those items. Looking at right now. See where it was. I don't remember what it was. It was under school board, I think. So the priorities for this committee is to look at CTE programs with partnerships with industries like criminal justice, the new math program, which is being implemented as we speak, and a technology assessment. Those are our 3 goals for the instruction committee. So at some point, we'll need to figure out what do we want to do with the CTE programs and the partnerships. I think the idea was to have an overview of what the programs are and what the partnerships are, to try to encourage, and with criminal justice, I think it was also to try to find that avenue to get kids from the high school into the Rochester Police Department. Even though I know there's like a 2-year wait that they have to go through to age into the program.
21 when you graduate the academy. But I think, yeah, if I remember correctly, I think we talked about like trying to get like some of the kids being able to do some kind of stuff over at the PD, whether it's sitting in dispatch, watching dispatch, stuff like that, if I remember correctly.
Any further discussion, folks? Okay. Public comment, I'm not gonna read that, and I'm gonna say that's ridiculous, but is there any other stuff that you wanna bring up before we do the Wi-Fi?
The Wi-Fi.
Yes, well, you know, we've had a lot of complaints about the Wi-Fi coverage, and the folks that are working on it, the company, I guess, is not available tonight, but Allison knows all the details. So if you have questions, we can do that, or we can postpone and have these people come next month.
So
Whatever.
CIC, I sent earlier today the presentation that CIC put together. They're not able to be here tonight. So I thought maybe if you just wanted to look at it, and if you had any questions, I can bring them back, or I can certainly have them come to the next month's meeting. I know one update, and if you're wondering about which committee, I think the superintendent recommended we do it under instruction. If you feel like there's a different spot, we can certainly table it for a different committee as well. But I know they started working on an additional wireless access point in the athletic director's area, office area this week, so I do have that update, but otherwise, feel free to ask questions. I'll answer them if I can, or I'll have them come next month.
Sandy.
Yeah.
So we had a parent come and say there was an emergency in the building. And she said the person that was responsible for saving the life of the student was not able to use their phone. It was discussed afterwards that there's a phone in his office. But I'm gonna be clear, that's not good enough. So I think he needs to come next week, and I think we need to be aware, because I think we could fix it with saying that individual needs to make sure that he, whether it's, we get him a walkie, whatever the case. But what if he's not there? Our staff is required to keep all of our students safe and secure, and if there's an emergency that happens, our staff should be able to pick up their cell phone and make a phone call. So I'd like to see, and I'm not speaking for the rest of the board, I'd like to see what they're, because I've seen this plan before, and I didn't see it up, it was sent at 1 o'clock, I had to work, I'm not, but I think that this is what he addressed before, if I'm not mistaken, but the issue is, we have to fix the Wi-Fi, there has to be a solution, and I think the last time when he came, the comments that we got is, this is basically what we have, and I think what I'd like to see is him coming and saying, this is what it would cost in order to have staff have their personal cell phones be able to be used, because we're lucky that this student had the right resources, but it could have gone really bad really quick, and I think that we need to be aware of that. And staff need to be able to have a way to contact emergency services at all times in our buildings for an emergency purpose, because that's just, there's no fine line there. I think as a board, we need to make sure that if there's an emergency, a staff should be able to take their cell phone and call 911.
My question is why doesn't he just open another channel, lock it? Because according to the presentation, it says that the Wi-Fi for Wi-Fi calling can be used if you acknowledge it each and every day. I don't know why we can't open a third channel, give it to just the staff, and then have it password protected. They have it, they don't need to click anything, it costs us nothing. It can be done in about 15 minutes, and if the IT guy needs some help, I'll gladly show him. I really think this needs to, he either needs to have an answer by a full board meeting, or have an answer to you by, I would say, Monday. It's really easy, I can do it.
I couldn't. I just want to be clear. I couldn't do it. So that's why I'm hoping we have somebody that can.
We've gone through this debate for a while. This is something that's been on our agenda numerous times. And by the way, Allison, this is, it fits in so many committees. I think it was thrown here because it's directly affecting instruction, which I think is fine. But if you go back a few months, back to October, September, something like that, when this was shut down and restricted, that's when I came to these meetings and was screaming like, this is ridiculous. It's a matter of time before somebody gets hurt and somebody can't call 911. Well, guess what? That's happened. So I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Not you all, but figuratively. And to go through all these steps, like as long as you put on, go through and into your settings and turn on Wi-Fi calling, which probably hardly anyone knows how to do that, it's such a hassle. And what do we do about a basketball game or some other wrestling game or match or whatever, and someone needs to call 911 and they don't have their Wi-Fi calling on? And that means that they have to have logged into the Wi-Fi system, if I'm not mistaken, according to what they're saying. So it would be helpful if Don DeMars was here and you could answer these questions, or someone that was with him, because I would like to ask him what his solutions are to make sure that people can call 911. Or get Verizon or one of these other cell companies in here to put in a repeater. That's another option.
Say that again. I didn't hear that. Say that again.
Get a cell phone company like Verizon or Cellular One or whatever is out there and put a repeater in the building so there is coverage. Because if you go outside, there's not much cell coverage around the high school, which is surprising because there's thousands of people in this building every day.
Would that work? Do you think that would work?
Sure.
It would depend on the structure of the building. It's steel.
But it's not our call to do that, it's Verizon's call or.
Oh.
Well, I remember the same thing a few months back when they came to us, asked us to be willing to restrict it, and obviously what happened in the gym was absolutely devastating. My solution would be just don't restrict it. Go back to how it was before, which we made it work for multiple years before, and we didn't have issues, and all of a sudden, he comes to us and wants us to restrict it. Well, in my eyes, well, figure it out, you're an IT guy, that's really hard to do, figure it out. We can't be restricting this from our staff, because this is what happened. So he needs to do his job and figure out how to fix this, or open it back up.
Sure.
And then on top of all the safety stuff, that is like a high priority issue. I know it's impacting instruction and curriculum because there are certain, like it says something about bandwidth restrictions, so like streaming, like teachers being able to access things that they would normally access for their curriculum, they're having a hard time even just doing that for their everyday stuff that they didn't used to have before all of this happened. So there's that additional piece on top of the safety as well.
Just so, I don't know if you know, iPhone, it's literally, I did it wrong, but you pull down, you get your menu, Wi-Fi calling, same thing on Android. It's not much. If we opened a third channel today, you lock it, give it out to the staff, and then bring it to the full board. He could be here next month, give us big detail. We could talk about opening it up and have a discussion, but we need to put something in a plan real quick. Because American Red Cross, flat out, one of their steps is call 911. The minute somebody goes down, call 911. It's safe area, call 911, AED, CPR. It would literally take the IT guy, maybe 10 minutes to open a third channel, password, give it out, tell them they can only use it for Wi-Fi, call in for emergencies, and he can monitor everything.
As I recall, the issue was that there was one, if I may have the numbers wrong or the categories wrong, but one T1 line in the entire district sharing everything. And everything's being jammed in, as Shani was saying. Teachers who need to show a video online to their classroom can't because everybody, you have 4,000 phones on the network. But I'm wondering, like, okay, there are numerous service providers in the area, why can't we get more lines in here? I mean, it may be more complicated than I think, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't disagree that the Wi-Fi calling is easy to turn on if you know how to do it. I would prefer that we try to pursue the avenue of getting more coverage, cell coverage, so people don't even have to turn on Wi-Fi calling to be able to make an emergency call in a building like that. That's a non-starter for me.
I couldn't find the document, but is this part of the 5-year plan, the improvement of the network infrastructure? Because I suspect part of this is hardware and investing in the hardware. Some of this is maybe just having that 5-year plan on how we're gonna get to where we need to be, but whether it's adding an additional pipeline for more bandwidth or bringing in cell coverage, but I think it seems like everyone's on the same page here. You have to decide that this is a priority and then make it happen. Someone could have died. And so I think we have the ability to prioritize it and ask the IT department to what do you need to make happen so that this never happens again. There's a lot of solutions that can be thrown out there, that's what their job is to do, but we need to invest more money into it, we need to prioritize it.
It's not on any of the committee's lists.
it's not any other committees.
No.
Let's see here. Yeah.
So what I think we need to do is, we need to direct Allison, and I think we need to let him know what our goal is, because I think we need to give him some direction. So it looks as though, I mean, Matt mentioned putting in something, which I don't understand, opening it up for instruction. Teachers need to be able to teach in their classrooms, and they need to be able to have it. So I think, Allison, you kind of got the gist, I'm assuming, but I think we need to have them, and instead of coming back and saying we can't do it, I think what we're looking for is some solutions on how to get all of that accomplished. Because ultimately, if a teacher can't stream something or teach something, or they can't use their devices, I think that's a huge issue. So we've come up with a couple, meaning not me. Other people have come up with some great solutions, it sounds like, but I don't really know. But I think he needs to know what exactly we're looking for, what exactly we're hoping for, and then he needs to come up with a solution. So whether it's what Matt Papa said, or what Mr. Cusimano said, and adding on to what, Shawnee said, I think we need to have a solution, and I think we need to give him, the emergency part, I think we need to do right away, but I think the other part, I think we could give him some time to come up with, because I don't think he's gonna be able to come up with it right away, but I think it needs to be looked at, it needs to be fixed by school of next year.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, the teachers having issues with their curriculum is currently happening because they added bandwidth restrictions when they added the splash page. So it's worse now than it was before.
Do you want building, facilities committee and building to take up maybe directing or working with a cell phone coverage company? Because at the end of the day, dropping a tower on Spalding might actually generate revenue. We've looked at it at different places throughout where I work on our things, and we're starting to contact. It's not an easy process, it's not gonna prove real quick, but again, it's a solution that we could work to and maybe put a revenue source for the school or the city.
Yeah, add it to your agenda.
Is this the appropriate committee? Let's start with that.
Yeah, sure.
I can bring back all of this feedback with some
Okay.
direction for what I think this committee, but also the full board
Because
is
I
probably
heard a
looking
lot
for.
of this before, and it wasn't in this committee, because I wasn't on this committee, so.
And we can figure out which
Okay.
committee it's best
Okay.
brought to, and then we can get that on the agenda.
The issues that I brought up was not only a 911 call, but also if there's a fight, if there's an intruder. The only way for a teacher to communicate with the front office to notify them of that is with the intercom system. I don't believe there are phones in every classroom to call down. You can't necessarily leave 25 kids in a classroom alone to run down to say that there's an intruder in the building. We've had intruders in the building, and teachers have seen them. And I don't know how they contact the front office. I don't know if it's a matter of hitting that button and waiting for someone in the office to respond, but if that person walks away from their desk and are not there to receive that notification that someone's calling down, that could be a problem.
So Allison, do you have your work cut out for you? Good. I want it all explained so I understand it, okay? Because I don't know any of this stuff. Okay. Whoops, I'm sorry.
No, that's
I didn't see it on there.
Also thinking like, since there's like no coverage outside, when we have visitors come for games and stuff, it's hard too, like when we played Dover and my son broke his knee, like it was good to be able to call the people I needed to call, not just to have the emergency people there, but other people that come to visit our school. They might have their own emergencies that they need to take care of with family and stuff, so to have coverage it's important for a lot of reasons.
Okay. Are we done with this?
Um,
Okay.
No.
Do we have any other items that people would like to bring up?
Did you want to talk about the
Instruction.
calendar?
The what?
The calendar?
Oh, well, that's not on my plan here. Okay.
It's under
It's not
other.
on my agenda. But-
Well, we could do it
All right.
under other.
Do we have to change the calendar?
So, have folks taken a look at that?
Where is it?
No, it's still sitting in front of me. So we've had 3 snow days, so the scheduled last day at this time is June 18th. You know better than I, but I think it's either the April or May instruction committee meeting when the committee might make a motion to make the last day a half day for students and a full day for staff. And then for Maple Street, their last day is the 28th.
So it's on a Tuesday, so the last day of school is on a Tuesday?
Yes. Barring any future snow days. So, just, sorry to be that person, but.
So I know had those 2 snow days, do we have the hours in so we don't have to make those up?
I don't have the hours calculated, I can, work on that if you'd like me to, and bring it back
If we're able to
today.
still keep it that Friday, I'm sure people would be happy with that.
Thank you.
I don't think you're gonna see a lot of attendance either at this point.
Yeah.
I can bring that back to the main committee if that's the wish of the committee.
Yeah,
Because I think that's what we ended up doing last year. Yeah,
I know other school districts have sort of waived those emergency days. I don't know if the governor declared them emergency days. It's only when about half your city's out of power, and the streets are unnavigable. Certainly that's a local emergency. And I think typically we've met the hours by the end of May
Yeah.
anyway. So if we want to cancel those 2 days, the big question is, do we have staff? Does that include staff? They're gonna kill me for doing that.
Because of their contracts.
Right.
So I don't think it includes staff.
Right, so that we would have to have workshop days for them, and whatnot, but definitely, whichever last day we have, I would encourage us to recommend it a full board, maybe a half day.
same. So I understand they're under contract, and I'm just asking for clarifying. There's no way that we can just allow them to have that last day off, I mean, with pay, because it's part of their contract, like,
I don't believe so because the contract stipulates the number of days that they need to be working.
right, but if we say, we're gonna pay you anyway, is that, I'm just asking, because I just want to, if you could just look into
Yeah,
that,
I'll
because I
look
think
into it.
our staff has worked really hard. I think they've proven this year that they've covered classes when they didn't get a prep. I think they've shown extreme devotion to the school. So if there is, I assume that they have a contract so they would get paid, but I didn't know if the board, if it's allowed, would consider
I can
one of
look into
those days a thank you for all that you've put through for the year, because I think we should show them that we value them. I don't know if it's allowed though.
Okay. I'll find out.
I don't know if anybody else would agree.
Nick?
Thank you. In spirit, I'm behind what you're saying, Ms. Stokes. I do believe that for our paraeducators who are hourly, those days are an opportunity for them to get paid for the days they got snowed out, and maybe I don't understand the contract, I could be wrong. So I think if we're gonna go that route, we have to be willing to pay people. The professional staff's on a salary, and I think it's easier for people to rationalize, well, a salary is a salary, it's not an hourly rate. But if you don't provide folks, the hourly employees, an opportunity to make up that time, are we willing to pay them?
My motion is to, well, not my motion, but my hope would be to pay them.
We're in
We're on the same.
spirit. Yep.
Is your question? No. Sean?
I very much agree with Mr. Pappas and Ms. Stokes. I think the decision though would have to be before the May meeting of this committee, because if it has to go to the full board, which is in June, like teachers need time to kind of plan and figure out things and field trips, so I think that needs to happen before.
Could we bring a recommendation, you know better than I again, to the full May board meeting?
Yes.
Does it need to come to this committee first?
No, do it.
Maybe it could be,
Go ahead.
that could happen, or we could make a recommendation to the full board, the committee can. So, but I don't know about the staff days. I know my district waived those 2 days for students. We haven't heard whether or not it's waived for us.
Should we make them 2 separate motions?
Probably.
Yeah.
Just follow up to Karen's suggestion, is there anything saying in the contract that they couldn't be half days for the staff? So if we can't give them the full day off, can we at least give them half days?
I can check that.
I'd be on board with that too. I'd make 2 separate motions just to have Allison bring a recommendation. That way you guys are good and the full board can vote on it in May. And then
And my
whatever
support would
recommendation.
be for the full days off, but if we can't give them the full days off, if we
We would be saving money on professional development, just let you know.
I'm sure they would love the time though, like if we couldn't, they'd love the time just in their classrooms getting stuff done.
Correct.
Because there's so much to do.
Correct.
If I could build on what Ms. McGowan just said, so certainly if you don't have to come back on a Monday or Tuesday and you can get your summer started, that feels great, and we'd love to do that for our staff, but some staff need professional development hours to get recertified. Those PD days provide them with those hours, at least in some districts. I don't know if that's how it operates here, or to Shawnee's point. I think if you make it a worthwhile day, then if you're gonna bring it back on Monday, Tuesday, you gotta make it a worthwhile day. You have to make them days that have some value and not just having people sit through workshops. I'm sure that's never the intent, but anyone who's been a teacher has certainly had PD days that they felt like they could have been getting more stuff done in their classroom if they had the opportunity. So make it count if we're gonna bring them back.
Anyone else, Karen?
So I'll make a motion, we're gonna separate the two, right? So I'm gonna make a motion that Allison bring forward to the full board if there's any laws or policies that stop us from allowing the teachers to have the last 1 to 2 days of school off with pay for all employees, so if they're hourly, they get paid, for the full board to have a discussion and vote.
Please, all staff or just teachers or who?
I said all staff. Every single staff member that we have has worked extra this year, and I think they all deserve it. And I will add that I think teachers come in during the summer to get their slate, you know what I mean? And I also think that they probably have their stuff all set. So that would be my motion. Does anybody want to second it?
Can I wordsmith it just a little bit?
Sure.
Could I, maybe the motion is that I can bring forward to the full board the options for the last, so it's 3 days, we've had 3 snow days, so for the last 3 days of school.
I'm
Are
gonna
you
say
talking about
2, because Friday,
For Monday and
they-
Tuesday?
Yeah, Monday and Tuesday.
So that I'll bring forward to the full board recommendations for the last 2 days of school that are compliant with all contracts for the board's
Perfect.
decision.
Yep. Just, I need a second.
I don't know if we really need that in a motion, we can just ask her to do it, she'll do it.
I think we said we needed a motion for it
You
to
need a
not come back
motion
here.
from the board.
So we need the motions for, so we can make that decision at the full board is what we just said.
Okay.
So it's been motioned and seconded, it just needs a vote.
Did we get a second?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kelly
Kelly.
seconded it.
Oh, okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Sandy?
Hand it.
Do we need a motion for the other one too, I'm assuming? To look at the hours?
I kind of rolled it all into, I can do students and staff, options for students and staff. if you want.
In that one motion? Okay,
I know, it's
I
up
just
to you.
wanted to make sure. Perfect.
Yeah, I'll let you know for both students and staff.
Okay.
We'll just handle it that night.
Yep.
Anything else?
Can I make a motion of whichever the last day for students is going to be, to make that a half day? Would that be appropriate? Everyone has agreed with it?
I second that one.
So I'll make a motion that whatever the last day is for students, it's a half day.
Yeah, Kelly seconded it.
Have a second?
Yeah,
Kelly did.
did.
Oh, Kelly didn't, okay. Those in favor, say aye.
I'm a third it,
Any
just
discussion?
kidding, aye.
Oh, gosh, one discussion. All right, anyone want to discuss that particular motion? No? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. What else have we got for Allison? She's got her little fingers going over there with that pen.
I have a question, so whatever we do for the regular calendar, would that then also reflect for Maple Street? Okay.
Yep. All righty. Do we have, any of you folks out there want to give us some words of wisdom? We probably could use them.
My first time hearing one of these, I thought it was
Okay.
pretty good, so.
Okay, all
Oh, okay,
right,
we're gonna end.
All right.
all right. I guess we're ready to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?